look stupid. This whole trip is stupid. You're stupid.
The opening premise of this episode is stupid. Now don't get me wrong, on the whole, it isn't bad. Pretty much on par with the rest of the season so far. But using an improbable resurgence of Bitcoin as a vehicle to get the crew into a Wild West scenario is a weird choice, especially considering the show already has an alternate cowboy universe.
Old West. Got it.
Futurama has this tendency to trip into this trap when trying to tackle more topical topics, forcing current events into their episodes like I forced an alliteration into that sentence for no reason. It hasn't always been this way. In fact, I think one of Futurama's best episodes is one of its current event episodes. We'll get there, but first I want to define exactly what I'm talking about here. When I say topical, I'm not talking about their pop culture and sci-fi parody episodes. They do these constantly, regardless of the timing, and sci-fi parody is this show's bread and butter.
Don't panic, we'll be okay. Addendum.
I'm talking about Futurama's topical current event episodes, like Attack of the Killer App and A Farewell to Arms, because apparently I'm picking 2 Comedy Central episodes a week to just rip apart.
To shreds, you say?
Okay, that's not totally fair. I don't hate Attack of the Killer App, at least. But it does have this strange quality to it, as if everything about it was already outdated when the episode came out. Part of this is because it's factually true. The episode came out in 2010. The iPhone came out in 2007. These iPod ads are from 2004. Twitter had been around for 4 years and everyone had already forgotten who the hell Susan Boyle was. Some of us even had to look up the name to get the joke in the first place. But I don't think that's the actual problem here. Futurama has always done a throwaway pop culture reference here and there.
Bob Dole needs company.
I still don't know who Bob Dole is. Animation takes time. I understand that firsthand. I'm not saying you need to absolutely nail the timing of your topical episode, especially when it takes place in the future. A Farewell to Arms gets the timing perfect, and that doesn't help it at all. I'm saying that the timing feels off within the Futurama universe. In both Attack of the Killer App and A Farewell to Arms, we're asked to accept that the people in the 31st century are facing the exact same issues we are in the 21st century. How is Mom the first person to figure out data collection, forced obsolescence, and toxic social media when it's been one of the primary pillars of our economy for over 1,000 years? When all the CRTs in the future get replaced by flat screens between the Fox and Comedy Central runs of the series, it's easy to ignore because it's literally set dressing. But when you call it to the foreground and have Mom invent
Twitcher,
it gets harder to suspend that disbelief. You've got a similar problem in A Farewell to Arms. We're expected to believe that the Martian calendar accurately predicts the destruction of Mars 1,000 years after the Mayan calendar. Hold on, let me see if I can do air quotes so aggressively you can hear it on microphone. Predicted the end of the world? It's so unbelievable it becomes uncanny. Look, I get it. It's a cartoon and it takes place in the future. Unbelievable sort of comes with the territory. Uncanny, on the other hand, can start to grate on the whole experience. The topical reference is very clearly forced into the episode in a way that can be off-putting and loses its timeliness fast. And there is a difference between a quick, timely reference and basing the whole plot around a flavor of the week. It's not just a single bit. It's the comedic underpinning for the episode, and the Mayan calendar jokes were tired in 2012. They're space B comatose by now.
You're in the best coma I've ever seen!
the doctor said you'd never wake up.
How the West was 81, which is the base 10 numeric value of 10100001, and I don't want to say that every time. So How the West was 81 has this issue of topical timeliness. We're already 2 tech grifts past cryptocurrency. And the show knows this. There was an NFT joke in the first episode.
NFTs worthless.
What?
Dunking on Bitcoin has been old hat since 2020. And there weren't many jokes in this episode that weren't just rehashes of jokes I've heard about crypto already. I don't think this ruins the episode, but I thought that the back half, where they started to get away from the crypto jokes, was better.
What the? Rusty! No! Oh, why didn't I listen to my own song?
The issue here isn't so much the outdated jokes It's the way the outdated jokes can feel forced into the episode. The inclusion of Bitcoin feels unearned because the random, unexplainable resurgence in value. The episode is about crypto because they wanted to tell jokes about crypto, but I don't think the jokes were fresh enough to justify the shoehorning.
Welcome to Dude City!
And then there's this immediate plot hole in the opening premise. The professor borrows money to invest in Bitcoin when its value is, according to this chart from the show, 0. And then he sold it at a loss, when it was valued at 0. I'll admit, I don't know much about economics, because money is just something we made up to obfuscate indirect violence. Shit, I'm not supposed to get political. But I do know you can't buy something at a negative value that would require somebody offering to pay to have Farnsworth take Bitcoin. But then he would have to refuse that and pay the person for that Bitcoin anyway. But then wouldn't Bitcoin have value at that point because there's a market for Bitcoin because Farnsworth is buying Bitcoin? And why did he take a loan out from the Mafia to buy something with a $0 value? Why are there this many stupid questions less than 2 minutes into the episode? It's very clearly forcing a Bitcoin-sized peg into an Ethereum-sized hole, all for the sake of a bunch of crypto jokes that are a little all over the place. Most of the comedy stems from, rightfully, dunking on crypto.
The virtual money.
But it still feels like there are deeper cryptocurrency cuts for those in the know.
Oh, dog dumplings. It's just a danged Ethereum.
Who are these jokes for anyway? It feels like you both need to be into crypto but also think crypto is a scam to get all these jokes. Is it for the grifters? Or is it for the terminally online people who follow this stuff out of morbid curiosity and know it's a scheme because of that? Do they know their audience that well? Is this episode, kind of good? It's a mixed bag. For example, love the return of Roberto. Excellent. But why has the show established this bizarre rivalry between Hermes and Roberto for some reason? Honestly, I thought the whole Dwight subplot was
Stupid.
like every Futurama episode. It certainly has its moments, but I think the episode got better when it got further away from the topical stuff. Which is a shame, because they used to be a lot better at executing topical episodes. 2 episodes in the Fox run specifically do it incredibly well. Crimes of the Hot tackles global warming, an issue that was front and center during the early aughts and still is today, despite the fact that we aren't doing anything about it. The episode doesn't take the current event and just copy-paste it into the future. It considers the future ramifications of those current events and crafts a plot accordingly. Though technically, in this specific case, it was kind of a copy and paste of what they were doing in the past, as that was kind of the plot of the episode. So it's an example, but not a perfect example.
Solving the problem once and for all.
But-
Once and for all!
Still timely as fuck, though. The best topical episode of Futurama is so good, you might not even know it's topical. You might, though. Whenever a video tells you don't know something, it's to get you to comment about it because you do know it. It's a big piece of garbage. The episode, not the tactic. This episode's premise is based on real-world events. It's obviously an over-exaggeration, but it's based on the New York City landfill issues of the 80s and 90s. That trash barge is real. It was called Mobro 4000, apparently. But much more importantly, they didn't just decide that New York was going to suddenly have a landfill usage crisis to fit in with the reference. The episode takes a look at current events from the future's perspective. The now past events have a direct effect on the future, but not in the same way it affects us today. Because we couldn't figure out our waste management issues of the 21st century, the people of the 31st century have a completely different problem that needs to be solved. This is how you get a plot that feels like a classic Futurama episode. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.